swinging from a 7-story window, throwing parties in a 10-by-7 cell. It's astounding the lengths I'll go to convince the whole damn world I don't need anybody's help. Yeah, I am waving while I drown. Don't bother swimming out to save me, I will only drag you down. I'll try to use your body as a life raft, cause if there's room enough for one, there must be room enough for two. I'll sail the good ship you into the sunset, sipping on savory water till my liver turns blue. Sha-na-na, sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Is broadcast in the evening news. I will be relieved. La, I am waving while I drown. Don't bother swimming out to save me, I will only drag you down. I'm waving while I drown. Don't bother swimming out to save me, I will only drag you down. La, 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 la. Singing, hey, hey, alright, yeah, I wrote that one myself. It's astounding the lengths I'll go to convince the whole damn world I don't need anybody's help.
All right. Put down your... Where is that coming from? Stop that. Stop that noise. I think that was it. Cool. All right. Put down your pens, put down your pencils, step away from your keyboards, and settle in for this week's episode of the Writer's Block. First and foremost, allow me to thank Don and Sally Wright, because without them, none of this is possible. Also, allow me to thank Muddied Waters Media for allowing me to do this show, and thanks to Grassroots Kava House for the kava that I'm drinking on this and every episode of the Writer's Block. Let me take that off so people can see us. I don't get nervous a lot. And today I have been wondering exactly how this is going to go. So much that I'm spilling stuff all over my electronics, and I own Apple things, so you know how dangerous that is. And I have been a fun little wreck all day today. But I am very happy to bring on my guest, Chris Clarke, who is a very, very good friend of mine. And I am going to point out that he is the one who came up with this idea.
Definitely. Thanks for having me. This was super sporadic, but awesome. Just happened to sit in Grassroots and then say, hey, Matt, it'd be cool if you did a show, it'd be funny. Have a show like, hey, ask a black guy anything you want, pick any subject you want, and bam, here we are on the show.
Yeah, super excited about this. First of all, you and I, we've known each other for a little bit, a year and a half, 2 years, somewhere in that range.
About almost 2 years. Met you through a couple of people. I think one of them was on the show at one point. I knew you through Mo, friend Casey, other Casey. I mean, that's the Kava community for you. You jump between Low Tide, Grassroots, Muddy Waters, and then you're just like, hey, you kind of know so many people.
Right.
So
yeah,
and I've been cursed ever since.
Now, before we get into the vast array of questions that I have for you, let's learn a little bit about you. You're a St. Pete native, correct?
Yes, born and raised St. Pete, good old 1987. I've lived in St. Pete here, moved up through a little bit of Gainesville, Ocala, Tallahassee, and then moved back here to finish elementary school, and then spent the rest of my grade school years in St. Pete.
So at what point in your life of living in St. Pete did you realize that essentially that you weren't smart enough to do much, so you joined the Marines?
Good questions. Well, when you go to school and, I was at SPC, and let's say I focused a little too much on partying, hanging out, doing all the fun things you do in school, except doing the school portion. And then hey, I'm going to go join the military because I don't want to move back in with mom.
Right.
Which sounds great. And then you meet the Air Force recruiter, and then he's the giant tool.
I get that. That's actually how I ended up in the Army. I actually met the Navy recruiter, and he was a giant tool, and the Air Force or the Army recruiter was he was a very jovial person that I was like, yeah, I can get behind this guy. He seems like he's not going to lie to me about everything, and he did. And so that was how I ended up in the Army, which is why I make fun of people who were in the Marines. As you know, and as I'm certain you've guessed, I have just one question, which I'll ask later, about being a Marine. But to get to the topic at hand, which again, I'm going to again say this was his idea, not mine.
All me.
Right. I get to ask you any question that I have ever wanted to know about Black people, Black culture, and you're just going to answer them honestly. Judgment-free zone. Finally, I get to do that without being worried about being labeled a racist, and I'm going to broadcast that to literally everybody.
Definitely. Hey, let's get this started.
All right. So my first question, which it's a joint question from multiple people. What's the most racist thing that ever happened to you before tonight?
Well, tonight's not it yet, so don't worry. We're still good there.
Give it time.
I would probably say while I was in the military, and forgive me for harsh language, which
you're fine.
To explain it, I got to go into there. So, in the military, when Marine Corps, you go out a lot of times. You go drinking out with a couple of guys in your unit. Everything's great, no problem. I've heard the N-word, no problem, my whole life. Not directly all the time at me. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. That's whatever. But when you go into the bar, you drink, you whatever, you get eyed on by everyone. That's not a problem. But when you leave and you go to what you think is your friend's house, and as soon as you open the door, and no one sees who came in yet, you hear there's a difference between, niggers and a black guy, right? And then they look over and they see I walk in, and I'm like, oh, I think I'm gonna leave. And they're like, no, Chris, you're not a nigger, you're a black guy. There's a difference between them. And I'm like, wow, well, before we get into this situation, I'm just gonna go. I don't care. Base is 5 miles away. I'll walk. Have a good night. So that's probably like the most one that was directed at me per se. Everything else is an assumption of if it is that or not. And that's always like the hardest thing. Is this specifically directed at you because it's a race thing, or is it you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time guy?
Right. So already getting questions from the viewing audience, and Jacob LaBelle wants to know, why do Black people prefer Miracle Whip over mayonnaise?
So, I'm not a Miracle Whip or a mayo guy, but I'll tell you usually because I know my dad likes Miracle Whip, and my mom likes mayo. But some people like it. It's a little bit sweeter for some people. I don't know. I can't really tell you. The texture is pretty much similar to me. I tend to stay away from them. But if you want my vote, I will vote light mayo more than Miracle Whip. So there you go.
Okay, so as a mayo lover, that's just a travesty that you're going light mayo. Like, you already know it's unhealthy. Don't go for the light. Just
you know what? Hey, it's all disgusting. I'll say that so you can boo me later. But I'd rather go that over the Miracle Whip. So
okay, That's fair.
mine.
That's fair. So, I mean, and you sort of answered my next question already, but do you know your dad?
Yeah, I do. Been there my whole life. I can thank my crazy humor and just being cynical from him. He's, I've had a two-parent family, so I know my mom and my dad. They're both around. They're not together anymore, so that might be a question later. But that didn't happen until after I got out of the military. So, 24 years of having them together. So there goes that one too.
Okay. So I guess that means that you were never initiated into a gang at a young age?
No. If you can tell from just how I sound, I spent some time in Ocala. What gangs do you see in Ocala? You come back to St. Pete.
I think the KKK has some gangs out there.
Okay, I'll rephrase it. What black gangs do you see in Ocala?
That's a valid point.
But coming back to St. Pete, though, no, I've not ever been initiated into that. I would say my family definitely tried to invest the time to put me in a good path away from that kind of life. So I looked out there.
Well, yeah, the strong family bond I hear is the key. How many phones do you have?
Good question. Phones on my phone line or phones that I claim as my own?
Phones that you claim as your own.
Okay, so I have one active phone that I claim as my own. But I will reference my dad, who has one phone line on mine also, and then his own phone line. So he'll have two. I have one, but I use that for that reason. So if I need a backup, I do have a backup.
Gotcha. So you don't have your burner phone and your hoe phone and your friend phone and your business phone.
See, so my personal phone is mixed with the business phone. The burner phone's not so much a thing anymore, since now you have to register those online to be able to activate those. I mean, granted you could go through and then put a different name and make up an email address and then go somewhere else. Their IP address isn't captured. It's too much work for that nowadays, at least for me in my life. So I just got the one right now.
All right, that's fair. But for that one phone, how many times has it been shut off or has your number changed?
For this phone, 0. Now, granted, while I've been with
I love
Verizon,
that pause that you did there. You were like, how can I phrase this? For this phone, it's never been shut off.
Yes. So while I've been with Verizon for the past 3 years, yes, 3 years, I had to think about that. This phone with this number has not gone off. But I've had previous phones that phone numbers changed, or let's say there's a month that it's not working, or let's just say, hey, there was one time where there was 3 months I was like, you know what, I don't even need this, ain't worried about it. And then, well, we all love our phones, so even I gotta crumble and say, okay, here, let me pay that bill and then we'll get this running again.
Have you dated black women?
Yes.
What is the percentages of black women compared to other races?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I would say that they're in the top 2, but at the same time, I would say I've been with. Here, let me make this bluntly easy. Are we saying dated or slept with?
Let's go with slept with.
All right, so I've slept with 4 black women. That number pales in white women number. Let's say that.
Okay. All right. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how afraid are you of your mom?
Good question. So I love my mom to death. I think most people who have moms do. I will say that even though I am bigger than her, if I said something too cross with her, she would probably still try to whoop my behind. Not saying it's gonna hurt, but saying that my mom still has that fiery motherly attitude. that I'm still her child no matter how big I get.
Right.
So yeah, so definitely respect. I have a lot of friends who are still afraid of my mom. As in my friends are like, yeah, you know what, I'm not messing with your mom. I just learned to be passive around her. Let's say that.
I get that. Now,
Yes.
so what was the number?
For black women, 4.
No. For the scale 1 to 10 on how afraid you are.
Oh, scale? Ah, man. We'll say at least a 6.5.
Okay.
Maybe a 7. It depends on if I did anything stupid or not.
Okay, so same question about your grandma.
Not at all, actually.
Really?
So, though I know, my mom's mother, me and her have that kind of relationship where she's my grandma or grandson. I'm terrible. I see her once a year. There you go. I usually leave my other siblings to spend more time, my siblings and cousins to spend more time with her than I do. Afraid of her? No, not at all. Hasn't laid a hand on me since maybe 6th grade kind of thing. Okay. I don't know. So grandma, no. Mama will whip my behind any other every day if I messed up around her. But grandma, no.
So the movies lie to me, is what you're telling me.
Okay. No, I just have a backwards family relationship. Let's say my mom was a very seclusive person, so that we were really seclusive from lots of parts of the family. Secluded from a lot of the family. So I see my grandma every now and then. I saw her so far. Oh, no, I lied. I didn't see her so far this year. Saw her last year. I saw her at a funeral. So yeah, I saw her once. But yeah, I can tell you different friends are definitely have that, super respect, afraid of grandma. Me, I don't. I mean, granted, I'm kind of, 31 now, independent. As a kid, maybe a lot more.
Right. I was never afraid of. I was afraid of my mom for a little while. That ended not too long. Like, I'm afraid of the guilt trip now. I'm not afraid of anything else, which I'm good at. But I'm not like afraid of my mom in any other way than the guilt trip. She recently gave me the "when are you going to settle down and have children" talk, and that's like, whoa, we've made it this far. Let's not ruin this streak. So, why are you afraid of dogs?
I'm not. I love dogs. I'm more afraid of cats than dogs.
Really?
Yeah. So a dog, it's pretty simple to tell. Okay, aggressive, non-aggressive. Should I approach a dog? Not approach a dog. I really like dogs. I don't own any, which makes it even better. So I can, I deal with them with other friends' dogs when I see them. Cats, you kind of have to let them come to you. If you let them come to you, that's great. If they're just pissed off, I don't mess with them. So everything is pretty good in that boat. At least maybe it's because I had a lot of friends with dogs.
That's fair. Okay. Why do magicians surprise you?
Because they're magicians?
Right. But I mean, it always seems like when you see David Blaine doing street magic and he does it and he does his trick and it's like a group of white people, they're like, oh, wow, I don't know how you did that. And then when you see a group of black people, they like do a lap. And
they're
they're
ready for the... Oh!
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they do all that. Like,
it's the hype, it's the energy, it's the trick, it's the showmanship. I don't know. What's the best way to explain it? When you're you either get two things. You either get the, oh my God, that's crazy, we're wild and it's great, it's funny, it's cool, how did you do that? Everything's crazy. Or you get the, oh no, you the devil.
Right, yeah.
Magic you got.
Oh no, you the devil. You the devil, man. And that's the one that always makes me laugh is when they accuse them of being a supernatural being.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like the, hey, the sleight of hand thing, that's cool. But when you really like surprise people and you're like, I don't know how you did that. You get that either that, you get the flight where like, oh hell no, there's some demon magic, the super religious people, or you get, just the ones that are like, oh man, he did this. That's cool. I don't know. Maybe we're just really energetic,
Okay, I'll accept that. I will definitely accept it. Where did the sagging of the pants come from?
Oh man. So the generic assumption for us in our culture was probably, um, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. I would say all of our parents were told us that's the kind of thing that people would do in jail, and that's the thing that used to be okay. How you tell someone's bitch? There you go. That's the bitch. There's other words I don't want to use for that, but still, it's like, hey, that's the guy who's somebody's girlfriend kind of thing. And then it kind of came, and then I don't know how it came over to us, not in jail kind of thing, and how it became the cool thing. I don't know. I don't know how half the shit becomes cool. It gets picked up. So don't ask me. I don't know. Wear a motherfucking belt. Common sense kind of thing.
Right.
But,
there's two schools of thought on a belt. There's, wear pants that fit and you don't need a belt, or, or wear a belt to actually keep your pants at an appropriate level. I'm a wear a belt guy. Like I like the belt. I like the look. I don't think my
belt loops.
Right.
Yeah, belt loops. You wear a belt.
Yeah, exactly. So if you and I are in a car,
okay,
right, and we're driving 275, we're on our way to Ocala, I guess, and a Tupac song comes on or a Snoop Dogg song comes on, and in this song they use a racially divisive word that starts with N.
Yes.
If I am singing along with the song, am I allowed to say it?
Depends on who you are. Like if it was me and you in a car by us, just us, I wouldn't give two shits about it. That's between me or you kind of thing. Is it something that you're supposed to say? I'm not going with the whole Oprah speech on should we say it? Yes, yes, it's bad. We shouldn't say it, but we do. All that kind of garbage. If it's my friend that I'm cool with, so if it was you, if we were in the car and we were singing and you dropped it, I wouldn't have been like, dog, did you really? No, I don't. That I know you. That's because I know you don't mean it in a derogatory, term. You don't use this as a term of oppression kind of thing. You know what I mean? So you're good. You get the card to say it in the song. Now, can you say it anytime everywhere else? That's a whole different kind of story.
That's cool. That's actually a question later.
I'll save it and we'll go get it later.
Okay. So most of us, outside of Virginia politicians, apparently, most of us know blackface is bad.
Yes.
Can I do the voice?
So, politically, should you? Of course not. Between me and you, like I said, we're in a group of our friends together. If you want to go to the whole either, I don't know, any of the voices, I really don't care. You can do it. But then again, that's between us. Is it right to do? Technically, probably no. But are you running for office right now? Are you got a public image? Then
some would say yes, and I would think that those people would be wrong.
It doesn't. I would say this, right? Everyone has a way to express themselves, especially you're doing it in a comedic sense, right? If you did stand up and you did it, I wouldn't say that'd be wrong, because that would be part of your stand up. You're not doing it to particularly oppress anybody. I can't tell you how many times you watch stand up where we do jokes and then you hear like the standard Asian voice, the standard white American, good afternoon, my name is Christopher Clarke. It doesn't matter what it is. You know what I mean? If you're using it in that kind of term and sense, we're making jokes with each other, everything's friendly, that kind of stuff. That's great. It's only terrible when you use it in those negative connotations, when you use it particularly to oppress somebody. Sorry, I'm ranting right now.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're answering the questions in depth, and I like that. That's what I was hoping for.
Okay.
So this was not my question.
Okay.
I'm going to preface that by saying I'm not the one asking this. This comes from somebody else. This comes from Drew at a different Kava bar than my sponsor. Are you more of a shower or a grower?
Nice. So I like to say, me personally, I'm a grower. Yo, man, it's cold that night. I don't know. I could say I'm a grower. I don't mind rising to the occasion. Just don't catch me off guard.
Right. I get it. You know, you get out of the pool, things are different. You know, things change. So why menthol?
Why menthol?
Yeah. Why is menthol such a popular cigarette choice?
I don't know. Cigarettes suck, man. At least the menthol's kind of got a minty thing to it. I will say, yes, the first time I ever smoked a cigarette was a menthol cigarette. Let's not even get that twisted. And yes, it was a Newport.
Right. Okay.
If you want to ask her, I'm gonna keep going.
No, keep going. But I do have something about the Newports.
Okay. So, have I had like, let's say, your regular cowboy killers, like the Reds and like all the other ones. I've tried them. I'm not a smoker, but sometimes you just get stressed out and you need to get away, and then you're like, yo, you know what? Hey, you got a cigarette? Screw it, I'll smoke it. But menthol definitely better than non-menthol, in my opinion.
Why is a Newport called a square?
I don't got the answer for that.
Oh, damn. I have wondered that for so long.
I don't know, man. That's a Googling down a hole or asking a real old person, maybe. I don't know, man.
I was bartending. In Northern Virginia, and at the time I would normally smoke Marlboro menthol.
Yep.
And one day the place that I went to was out, so I just got Newports, and like I remember bartending one night, and this guy saw that I had a Newport, and he was a black guy, and he goes, "Hey, can I get a square?" And I looked at him and I said, "I don't know what that is. Is that a drink? Because I've never heard of it." And he goes, "No, man, one of your Newports." And I said, "Oh, yeah, you can have one." And then I went to the other bartender and I said, "What's a square?" And he goes, "It's a Newport." Why? He goes, "I don't know." Okay. I have wondered that for a long time.
No idea. Maybe someone in the chat already knows, I hope.
Yeah.
Either that or I gotta Google it later.
Yeah, Jacob LaBelle says that Cool was my second cigarette ever, and that it's called a pimp, which I'm assuming is a Newport, and square just means cigarette. So maybe square just means cigarette.
Well, there you go.
This is a Casey Martin question.
Yes.
So were you just born with messed up credit?
Oh, no. And I will get Casey back for this one later. No, let's just say for the bad credit thing, that's a grow up and do dumb things decision. Like, credit cards and phone plans that you don't stick to and you don't pay those bills. That's where that comes from. Cough, I might have had that when I was 18. So that's a learning lesson, so to speak. A coming of age thing. They should teach that shit in schools.
Can you explain the N-word pass?
Ooh, you want a nigga pass? I mean, you gotta earn that. So if you get one from your friend has confidence in you not being, necessarily racist, but not just that. That means you've already got a bond with your friend. They trust you.
Right.
To get that pass, that's real strong. And then it also is kind of, you get the pass, but you get the pass around that person. Obviously, that doesn't work around everyone else. And you might be around the guy's mom. He says, "No, that's not cool to say around my family." So that's how it usually goes. If you used it, I'd be like, well, that's new for you. But I wouldn't, be like hoods and pitchforks and torches and tiki torches down the street for you. So you're good.
Okay, so that answers my next one of can I get one?
Okay. So yeah, you can use it probably around me. Have fun with Casey though.
No, he's given me one.
Okay, so there you go.
I don't think I've ever used it around him.
I'm pretty sure no matter what, even though you have the pass, you'll say it, and that's gonna be like a who's that? Oh, okay.
Right. What is a flip?
So have you had a flip before?
I've never had a flip. I don't know what a flip is.
Oh man, so you can think of it as very similar to, man, I want to say Italian ice, but let's not even go there. Usually it's a very sugary substance of like maybe like a Kool-Aid and mixed with other flavors and different things, frozen in a cup. And then, you sit there with your spoon, if you're smart enough to have the spoon, and you sit there and eat it. We're in Florida. It's a very hot place. So frozen sugary, like ice, treat is really smart. You usually have a flip lady, a lady who sells flips and other things, usually in every neighborhood. When I lived in Lakewood Estates, they had one there, but yeah, they had a different one in all the other communities. So you go to Child's Park, Bartley Park. Everyone usually knew where the flip lady was if you lived in that neighborhood, and usually weekends from maybe like 9 or 10 a.m. to probably like 7 p.m. you can go there and just buy stuff from them. There you go.
From the Candy Lady house.
Basically, yeah, Candy Lady. But it's Flip Lady, though.
In what country can I find a jive turkey?
Ah, man. I mean, all you gotta do is look in the mirror sometimes, man.
So America, got it. Yeah.
I mean, ooh, that was you going back in time with that one
a little bit. That was another Casey question. I'm just gonna preface that.
I was gonna ask you looking at Casey because he's kind of up there, so he might use that.
Right. True. Why are the rims worth more than the car?
Well, it's pretty simple. When you buy a cheap $1,000 car or $2,000 car, and then you spend that amount or more on the freaking rims. Not saying that's a smart thing. Of course, also the tires, because now you got to get low pro tires. I will not say I am immune to that effect. I have owned a car with 22-inch rims. It might have been on an Impala. I don't now.
So we've already gotten some suggestions on where to get flips.
Okay.
And Casey Neth, regular listener Casey Neth, she was wondering, was the flip lady operating out of her own house, or was it a street cart kind of thing?
So it's usually out of the house, though I do know at one point the family upgraded, and so they worked out of the house still, but they also had a truck going around, kind of like a food truck, except like an ice cream truck, more or less.
Okay.
It was very funny because it was a white ice cream truck with like black spots over it. It looked like a cow driving around. Don't ask me why. But yeah, Flip Lady was growing on us. So don't ask me how taxes go with that, even though they're theft.
What is Juneteenth?
So I'm not ratcheting up to use Juneteenth.
Okay.
So I'm not I haven't used it, so I can't really speak on Juneteenth. It's one of the ones I don't have in my repertoire. Sorry.
Okay, that's fair. No, that's fair. In your personal opinion,
okay,
which one of us can jump higher?
Between me and you?
Yeah.
Damn. In my prime, easy. I put on way too much weight now, so yeah, there's no way you might actually beat me. It depends. You look like you're in better shape than I currently am, at least physically. Mentally, we got to talk about that later, but
obviously I'm not in the best mental shape.
But yeah, physically right now you might beat me. So
okay.
I'll give you that for now.
Follow up, can you swim?
Yes, I can. Funny thing is, I actually learned how to swim when I was really young. It was one of those, we lived in a city where there's a lot of pools, and your parents put you in that child swimming programs. Fast forward to like my teenage years, I hadn't swam since I was like 5. I had to relearn how to swim again. And then fast forward that till like 20, I had to relearn to swim again because it's something I didn't practice. I can backstroke. My breaststroke sucks. And,
mine too.
And then I usually just like floating on my back. So the buoyancy levels are pretty awkward for us. I can float right under the water if I try to like stand up, stand kind of thing. But floating on my back's usually the easiest thing to do.
So
yes.
Why are the buoyancy levels awkward?
Well, even when I was skinny, let's just say I had a lot of junk in the trunk.
Gotcha.
And so just my buoyancy levels were really weird.
Is that still called a Badonkadonk today?
I haven't heard that in forever, sir,
Okay.
but that would make you a jive turkey for referencing.
I was watching some Dave Chappelle.
Hey, I ain't mad at that.
Yeah, I was watching
You
some
can
Dave
listen to
Chappelle,
Missy Elliott too.
and I was watching Black People, Dave Chappelle, and one of them is what is a Badonkadonk, and I knew that answer, and I felt very good about knowing an answer, and so I was just curious if that was still what it's called today.
Not necessarily. I mean, you can use it if you want. We know what you mean, so you can use it. There you go.
What are chitlins?
Ooh, the very worst part of slave culture brought food to nowadays. So basically, you have the intestines that you clean out. And when I mean intestines, I mean you get a hose and you run water through them to get all the shit out of the intestines so you can eat them. They're disgusting. It makes the house smell. And yeah, don't ask me why that's still a cultural thing, but some people still eat chitlins. I would chalk it up there with a hot dog, except hot dogs taste better.
Okay, that's fair. Where can I get them?
So, if you ever venture down to, I'll use St. Pete for that. Let's say the south side of St. Pete.
Sure.
You'll find a lot of meat markets in the area. So you can go to those meat markets that are in areas that are populated by a lot of African American individuals, and then you can probably grab some there.
Okay. So Casey Neff believed that they were chicken feet, and so she is asking, what are chicken feet called?
Chicken feet.
Yeah.
Exactly. She is right. Chicken feet are called chicken feet. That's it.
Oh, chicken feet are called chicken feet, Casey Neff.
And pig feet are pig feet.
I don't know who wrote this question. Does Kool-Aid make you cooler?
Oh man. If you compare it to you drinking Flavor Aid, then yes, it would make you cooler. Oh yeah, it's better. Only if you know how to put the right amount of sugar in there, which the answer is a lot.
Right. And my follow-up question to that is, do they actually have different flavors, or is it just sugar flavored?
So you have purple flavor, you have lemon flavor, you have I would say over the years, some of the flavors, the simpler ones, like a grape flavor, can be closer to what it's supposed to be. But yeah, it's definitely a color coordinated flavor thing. Lemonade tastes similar to lemonade, though. Okay. Similar, not as good.
All right. So, CPT.
Color people time.
Yeah. Is that a universal thing, or is that just kind of like reserved for certain black people?
So I will use CP time, and fun fact, it's not a 30 minutes late, 10 minutes late, hour late. It's a range of any of those times for that. So each person's CPT time, those CPT ranges, I wouldn't say it's, particular to any particular brown person, whether it be black, Hispanic, or whatever. Usually if you have that friend that's normally late, they run on that time.
Right.
I use an example as, and I have a friend who, whenever we have an event or a gathering, I tell him an hour beforehand because he'll still show up an hour and 30 minutes late.
Gotcha.
So
yeah, I've got some friends that I have to treat that way, and yeah. I totally understand that.
Yeah.
You're one of them.
Oh, hey. I was here early.
You were, yeah. You beat me here. Scale of 1 to 10. Rate Obama.
Rate Obama? Ooh. Yeah. 7.5 to 8.
Wow.
Did I put him there?
I want to do so many follow-ups to that question, to that answer.
I'll give you one thing first.
Okay.
The first negative for me, and this was in the youthful time of George joining the military. and I don't know if he was direct correlation to it, but it was literally I joined the military, I started drinking a lot more, friends start smoking a lot more, he becomes president, and alcohol and tobacco tax goes up, and then that gets higher. So I don't know if that's directly in his core, something he did, but with new presidents and anyone new in power, there's always a correlation of you're new, this happens, you're the blame. So that's one thing there.
Okay. Well, I mean, I was just surprised that it was that high.
Hey, I it always depends on who the person is in power. Um, I'll give you different shocking things. Um, Clinton is probably was a six. George first term was definitely an eight.
Really?
Senior, junior,
Junior,
junior.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
W.
yeah.
I
don't know.
I don't think
Reaction
you're
time.
old enough to remember George Bush Senior.
No, 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 no. I'm not that old yet.
Right. Nor will you ever be.
No, ask Casey maybe.
I could ask him about the Carter administration.
Oh.
So 1 to 10, Trump.
Okay. That boy is fun. Overall,
Right.
I don't know. Somewhere between 6.5, maybe 7-ish.
Okay.
For me to go for a 5, it feels like you have to really fuck up.
True. True.
Though sometimes he does some things that are okay, and sometimes he does things that I have no idea why he does. He hasn't burnt the cross yet, so.
No, he definitely. I mean, according to statistics, he's got the lowest black unemployment rate in history. So, like, I'm surprised when I hear stuff like that. But at the same time, I get it, I guess.
I mean, it's too. I mean, for me, and I'll tell you this: there's too many things that go on, and not everything is in his hands. It's the popular vote and what the population thinks isn't always, hey, this is why, because it's something he did. How someone reacts to how the world changes is a huge thing. I'll tell you, as a veteran, at first when he pulled in Mattis for defense, I was like, yep, all right, he's good in my books. I was like, hey, that's the Marine in me talking. Like, you got General Mattis on board, you're great. And then General Mattis stepped down probably from disagreeing with him. And then I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're doing. You had me. Why'd you lose me?
Right.
So there's different things. There's always something different. We'll talk about a wall thing later, and I'll give you my opinion on that.
Sure. Did Black Panther deserve the Best Picture nomination, or was that pandering?
Ooh, that's a tough one. So if we're talking about outreach, what it means for that movie, it deserved the nomination. I'll say it deserved a nomination. CGI could have been better, but I will say what it meant for the community was big enough to get a nomination.
Okay, so what it meant for not based on the actual movie merit itself, which, in my personal opinion, wasn't very good, but the fact that it meant because of what it did for the Black community, that's why.
It's a good pop. I mean, I can't lie and say that didn't mean anything to it. Of course that was factored into there, and anyone who says that part of that wasn't factored in there, I don't know. I mean, I don't care if you're, if it's like, hey, you're super strong on the Black strings, or you're super strong on the Marvel kiss assness. That had a small piece of that, no matter what. And though I don't have anything to measure it with, and no one will have anything to measure that with, that does have an effect on there. As in how the movie went in general, there were some really good parts of the movie. There were some mediocre parts of the movie. So I loved it overall. I liked the movie, but I'm trying to think of the last time where, and I remember Well, actually, I'm a terrible movie person, so I'll say that now. I'll preface this. In your knowledge, do you know if there's a Marvel movie that has also been nominated for Best Picture?
No, this was the first superhero movie to ever be nominated for Best Picture.
Okay, so at least I'm not crazy. So yeah, I didn't remember one being nominated. Um, Again, I like what the movie did, but I can't 100% tell you just the movie by itself of its own merit of the movie got it there. So I can't say that.
So you said you're not a movie person.
Let me specify in there. I like movies, but if you say, "Hey, am I knowledgeable about a lot of movies?" No, I suck when it comes to Hollywood and all of that stuff. So
okay,
there you go.
Did you see it in the theater?
I did.
Okay, yeah, me too. I'm just curious.
No problem.
I'm not sure if anybody's going to understand this joke. Do you miss working with Kel?
Hold on, let's do this.
That's going to confuse the crap out of the people who listen.
It is. If you don't watch the video, you won't get it with the hair.
Yeah.
That would be cool if that was ever the case. But you're not the first, nor will you be the last to say I look like Hugh Thompson. So. I believe I told you this before the show. I actually made an ad for this show, and I scheduled it for release yesterday on Facebook, and that was the day that Facebook obviously crapped the bed. And so the ad never went out, and I didn't even think about it at the time. But when I was looking for a picture of you on your Facebook, I thought, man, he looks like Keenan. I was also watching Saturday Night Live at the time, so I was like, yeah, I'm going to have to ask him if he misses working with Kel. So, funny story with that. I was at a pizza joint one time, and I'm sitting there. I order my food. They don't ask me my name when I'm up there. I didn't notice that at the time because everyone asks. They always ask me, "What's your name? What's your name?" Super Italian place. They go ahead and call my order, and they're like, "Hey, the guy who looks like Hugh Thompson." Just yells it across the bar. Straight super Italian accent, and I'm like, well, I know they mean me. I'm not the only African American in the place, but it's just that I was just like, all right, I know what you're referencing. I guess I'll just go get my damn food.
Since you just referred to yourself as an African American, do you prefer Black, African American? Okay,
Black. I try to be professional and say the whole that, but if you ever said, hey, so what really makes you African American? No, I'm Black. I've never been to Africa. I don't want to go to Africa. There's no point for me to go. It's not on my sightseeing journey list anytime soon, unless I just get loaded and have millions. But I'd rather travel other places with that are on my checklist.
So this is going to be more of a generalized question.
Okay.
Why do Black people continue to vote as a majority for a political party that promises to pull them out of poverty but has never been able to?
Good question. Why do people still vote in the same party and never change party, even though when they have problems with people sometimes they do it? I don't know. People are.
That's actually a. I was trying not to curse, but that's the best fucking answer you could have given right there.
People are creatures of habit, and I mean, come on, we'll talk about my community. We have people struggling to go out to vote in general, depending what party they vote for. But sorry, I've been dragging this off in a different direction. But yeah, that's the easiest answer to say. That most people that are Black are raised like, hey, you're a Democrat. Not even that. It's not a directed thing. You're a Democrat. That's kind of like that mind and that social thing. If they could ever change that whole social mentality, then you'd probably have more people swinging the other fence. But excuse me. I don't know. Maybe if you could change some of the party system ways in general, then maybe they wouldn't vote that way. I don't know. That's my best answer right there.
Yeah, and that's something that I've just always been curious about because since 1968, Black people have, as a majority, voted Democratic, and they have not really seen an improvement in their social economic standing. So I've just always kind of been curious on that. Like, why would you continue to vote for this party that keeps promising you that this is it, you're going to get out, like especially after 8 years of Obama, and in many cases they're worse off.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say, I'm gonna say it bluntly. When has there been a party that's actually helped us out in that realm? And I'm gonna say, and now let me, before we go into that, because I know you got one ready and ready to fire away. And the people have been able to be smart enough to notice and recognize and actually full-heartedly believe in. That's probably the main problem right there. Now you can go. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I mean, minus the Republicans passing the Civil Rights Act and freeing the slaves and doing all of that. Like, again, you know me, so you know I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. But that's just something that's always been on my mind. I'm like, why would they stay with that party? Like, granted, LBJ did sign the Civil Rights Act, but many of us know what he said when he signed it. Do you know what he said when he signed it?
Nope, I don't. But if you want to enlighten me either on or off,
I'll enlighten you on. He said, this means that the N-words, he didn't say that, this means that the N-words will vote for us for the next 100 years. So
I can believe that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, dude from Texas. And Adam is saying it's not the government's responsibility. Adam Freeman is saying that it's not the government's responsibility to help anyone, and taxation is theft, which both of those I agree with.
I agree with, definitely.
Yeah. Where do the names for the children come from?
Yeah, I don't got an answer.
Okay.
Trust me, I'll tell you, maybe it's one of those things where, you know, it's culturally understood and it's been used for a while now. And, you know, that's the route it goes. My name's Christopher Ryan Clarke. Let me just state that.
That's a good point.
And then everyone else in my family have pretty much really proper names. Some of them Bible references, some of them not. But, you know, but then again, I'll tell you, I have, you know, family members who have the definite more out. I have one, actually, she's not my cousin, but we're close enough. Let's use the Blackwork cousin for that. And her name's like Sequoia. So, hey, and that's before you get way down the rabbit hole. So I don't know. We don't know about Quisha and Shalatisha and all that. I don't got an answer, homie. It's a thing.
From a YouTube user Scarif? Mm-hmm. Sure. Do you think that only black people should be allowed to have dreadlocks?
You know what? We're in America, so you can have whatever the hell you want.
There you go.
Now, I'll tell you, in my personal opinion, it don't matter. You get too much shit to worry about in the world. Why am I caring about what kind of hair you have? Hygienically, it's just dirty both sides. But hey, it's America, man.
Yeah, I agree. I like when people complain about cultural appropriation. I'm always like, America's made up from multiple different cultures. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you can't say that me wearing a dashiki, not that I ever would, because I don't think it would look good on me, but me wearing a dashiki is cultural appropriation, because business suits in Japan technically is cultural appropriation, and I don't care that they do it. I don't see it. I've never understood cultural appropriation. If I think that it looks good on me, I'm going to wear it. And dreads would not look good on me.
Yeah, I don't know how we're going to get there with you, but I don't know. Maybe there's not enough extensions in the world. I don't think.
No, there definitely are not enough extensions in the world. So, okay, were you a good athlete?
I was mediocre athlete.
Okay.
So I would say, in the easiest terms to say that is, you got 10 kids in class, I was probably either the fourth or fifth one picked on dodgeball, if that's an answer for you.
Okay. So in the African American or black community, how much did it suck to not be a good athlete?
Shit. Let's just say, you know, pairing me against the rest of my culture, it's definitely that awkward moment where you're the white black kid. I have no Caucasians in my family. It's just like hey, you're not the really black kid. You're not the super athletic, Granted, if we're doing just like running and racing, hey, you can keep up with most people. But if you're saying, hey, you're not the high end basketball player, not the football player, you're just there. I would say, in the easiest sense, if we're in a class, multiracial class, all right, you pick the top athletes. Okay, now you got an average black guy, average white guy. I'd be picked above the average white guy. That's where I sat.
Okay, got you. And I'm glad that you said that you were the white black guy, because that actually ties into this next question. Do other black people look down on you because you don't speak with a stereotypical black dialect?
So I will say more in the child realm. Like when I was younger, yeah, that was something of adversary in my old, adverse. Oh, wow, I can't even pronounce right now. But something in contention I had to deal with my old culture. Why are you different from everybody else, kind of thing. And then I'll say, hey, so I go talk to other people in other cultures. They're like, okay, cool, you're accepted, but at the same time, you're not. You got that weird, like, you're awkward, like Childish Gambino, except I'm not, Jehovah. So at least I got that from me.
Is he a Jehovah?
Yeah, his family is Jehovah. Though I don't know if he still practices or anything like that.
Right.
But yeah, that was one of the cool things about him. It's like, hey, you're the weird, awkward, dirty black guy, but I can relate to you.
Right. Yeah, his character on Community was Jehovah, and they made fun of that a lot.
I have a couple of friends even at work that are in you know what? Color, religion, race, everything gets picked on. Sometimes it's free game, sometimes it's not. Hey, HR, hey, I'm the good guy. Don't come at me later when you see this video.
Do you want me to? I'm going to tag your business in it. I'm going to tag your company.
Cool.
So I only actually have a couple more questions left.
Okay.
Back to the hair.
Okay.
Does it piss you off that you have to shape it as opposed to style it?
So, unless I straighten my hair, let's just say that I'm very limited to how I do my hair compared to like some other cultures and races. Now, granted, you would never probably want the super curls that don't move anywhere kind of thing.
Right. No. God, no.
Yeah, you wouldn't want that. Trust me, if we had hair like yours, I don't know, there'd be a lot more new styles and everything. But but I would say you get you're used to what you were born with, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So when it comes to like cutting your hair, fading it, and all that, that's one thing. But if I ever wanted to do something different with it, like I have to go through so much chemicals to make something to happen to it. It's almost a pain in the ass.
Right.
Like right now, I'll tell you this right here. I didn't put anything in my head because I know I'm gonna have my headset on for half the day. So I was like, okay, hey, nothing's in there. But once we leave here, then I'm like, okay, here, let's go recondition my hair, oil it up, make it so it's not as dry, so it doesn't fall out, and then I look like, I don't know, I don't have as much hair as I do.
Are barber shops as cool in real life as they look like in the movies and on TV?
So if you go into a barber shop, of course we're going to my community, but if you go in there like a Friday afternoon, a Saturday during the day kind of thing, it's a very lively place. You'll have the regular sports talk, the regular drama in the neighborhood talk, just every kind of conversation you have. I'm not going to say it's as live as, let's say, like the barbershop movie.
Right.
Because, that's, the movie portion of it, but it is a place where you have a sense of community, understanding. The walls are usually down somewhat when you're there, and you're usually in a community of your peers. So, that's how it is. It's lively, but it ain't like crazy.
So I actually just have one more question, but before I ask it, do you have any questions for me?
Oh man. You went a lot nicer than I thought you were going. Granted, I know it's a podcast, so it's open to everybody.
Yeah, I did. I did. Like, again, when I was compiling this list of questions, there were, all right, Jacob LaBelle wants to know, in terms of catfish, fillet or nugget?
Catfish. Yeah, a fillet than a nugget, definitely.
A fillet before a nugget?
For catfish.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, why would you not want a catfish sandwich?
It's a valid point.
I mean, it's beautiful.
Right. I mean, catfish po' boy was one of my favorite things to eat.
That's good. That's good. Okay.
But yeah, when I was compiling this list of questions, there were people who were like, "You're going too hard," and I was like, "I don't know if I am or not," because he and I are friends, but I got nervous.
I will say everything you asked me is in that politically okay area.
Right.
So if you're looking at a political career, just keeping the channel, in a good pointed direction, you're there. You never crossed or even felt like you got near a dangerous area.
No, not really. Like anybody that I was talking to, and I think this actually speaks a lot about it, is anybody that I was talking to about, hey, what question should I ask? I don't think anybody wanted to breach that. Nobody wanted to come close to that. And I did come up with a couple of questions that I thought of, and then I was like, man, that might be too far. Black people are 12% of America. Why do they comprise of so much of the violent crime rate? I thought about asking stuff like that, but then I thought, but then I was like, no, because there's multiple reasons for that. You've got militarized police. You've got private prisons. You've got racism still exists today. I'm not going to deny that happens. So I was like, I'm not even going to get into that because
it's a rabbit hole that's going to that would by itself take the whole night.
Right, exactly. But Casey Neth wants to know, what's the worst question you've ever been asked about being black?
Oh man, probably the catfish one. That was pretty weird, but okay. Either that, or then Casey Neth thinking that it was chitlins were chicken feet. That was none too.
Yeah, that's a good point. Somebody else asked, collards, turnips, or spinach?
Collards.
Easily, right? That's not even a question.
I don't know why that was brought up, but no, collard greens, definitely. Spinach would be second. Turnips, I can't believe turnips were brought up in that situation, but hey, everyone's got their thing. You mind if I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Washcloths. I'm surprised I didn't get asked that when I asked you that. Do you use a washcloth within a towel?
Do I use a washcloth and a towel?
Yes. Or easiest way to say this, if you don't own a loofah, let's say you use a bar of soap, how do you wash yourself with a bar of soap?
With a bar of soap, if I'm gonna wash myself with a bar of soap, I take the soap in my hand and I rub it all over my body, and let the shower water just wash it off.
So this is a very fun thing that I kind of learned. I thought I knew a lot about it, but the military, they kind of issue you washcloths, so I never thought about that. But in the workplace, I got asked that one day, Chris, do you use washcloths? And I'm like, well, definitely. Why do you not? And just to focus on that, you're like, a washcloth question mark.
Yeah.
Usually the black community, we use those. We lather up the cloth itself and then wash your body.
Okay. So you kind of use it kind of as a loofah.
Yes, like a loofah. Because you don't want to put the bar of soap on your asshole or on your balls when that's going to come right back.
Right.
Now, granted, you're going to, the defense to that is, well, the soap is clean and you just wipe the soap off in the water and everything's good to go.
Right.
Theoretically, yes. And the same thing with the washcloth, you would do the same thing. It was just a fun contention point of, hey, have you ever used one before?
No, and yes, I have. I've mainly for my face, but mainly for my face, mainly for more specifically my eyes than anything else. But not really. I've never really seen the point, and I don't wash my face that much because anytime I did, I started breaking out, so I stopped. So I was like, okay, just don't wash your face. You're gonna be fine.
So no, that was a question. I'm like, okay, I'm worried. This is one of those that's gonna automatically be asked. No, surprise.
No, yeah, no, I had no idea about the washcloth thing. And in fact, the only people I've ever really known to use the washcloth on a regular basis are any white Southern person.
Oh.
So that's why it didn't even occur to me that that may be a black community thing.
At least down here, if you got anyone that's not from here in the north, you can let us know. But that's what I'm used to.
Okay, fair.
Right.
Any other questions for me before I get to my final?
Oh man, he's got a final.
I do.
No, I actually just came here to be the target on the firing range. I didn't plan for return fire, so.
No, that's YouTube user Forgotten Man says, I like a bar of soap on my balls. And I get that. It's soothing. This doesn't really have to do with you as a black person. This has more to do with you as a Marine.
Got it.
Yeah. What color crayon tastes best?
Grape.
Grape.
I gotta throw the Marine jokes in there. You gotta roll with those punches.
Right. I was gonna pepper it with a lot more, but I didn't want people to conflate like me asking you questions about being black with me making fun of you about being a Marine. So
Oh man. No, but that's my cop out answer every time I hear, hey, what flavor crayon? It's just grape.
Grape.
It's not a color, but just say it grape, and
right.
they're like, bam, I got you. They understand. While I'm here, shameless plug. Some of my friends, Cough, Casey, and F, and some people promised me a crayon birthday cake last year. Failed at that.
Wow.
I'm expecting that next year.
Wow, I can't believe Casey Neff would fail at something like that.
Hey, you know.
And my actual final question. Do you want to go to Grassroots in a little bit?
It's only 9 o'clock, so
it's only 9 o'clock, and I know you got this week off.
Yeah, let's go. I'll meet you there.
All right. So Casey Neff just sent 3 sad faces about that. So thanks so much for coming on. If you have anything to pitch, I don't know if you have anything to pitch or not, but if you do, now's your time besides the birthday cake.
Things to pitch. Hey, we're St. Pete. Every Kava bar is usually awesome. Visit them. Support local businesses. Definitely do that. Taxation stuff. I can go on and on and on. Tip people in cash so that way they don't get taxed on it. And just be happy. Life doesn't suck as bad as you might think it does.
Man, that is so much better than what I was going to say.
Oh.
Whew. All right. Cool. So I'm going to do the closing, and then I got to play the song, and then afterwards you can hang out for a second, or we can just meet up at Grassroots. It's really up to you. But to everybody else, tune in tomorrow for an all-new episode of Mr. America, The Bearded Truth with Mr. Jason Lyons. Jason Lyon, no S on the end of that. And then I automatically want to put that there. And then there's a chance that we have an episode this weekend at some point. Not 100% sure on that, but I think that is something that could be going on this weekend. And then next Monday, we have Mr. America, The Bearded Truth, starting off our week with an all-new week of Muddied Waters Media, with an all-new episode of Mr. America, The Bearded Truth, an all-new episode of Muddied Waters of Freedom, an all-new episode of My Fellow Americans, and an all-new episode of The Writer's Block, with the week to end again with Mr. America, The Bearded Truth. So tune in to all of that. If you're wondering on where you can find us, if you're watching us on Facebook and you're like, where else can I find you? Because Facebook apparently sucks because they just shut down for an entire day. You can find us at facebook.com/Muddied Waters of Freedom. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/Muddied Waters Media. You can find us on Instagram at Muddied Waters of Freedom, or on Twitter at Muddied_Waters. And you can find this and every other episode at MuddiedWatersOfFreedom.com. Have yourselves just the best weekend and week and life that you can possibly imagine. And we'll see you next week.
I am swinging from a 7-story window, throwing parties in a 10-by-7 cell. It's astounding the lengths I'll go to convince the whole damn world I don't need anybody's help. Yeah, I am waving while I drown. Don't bother swimming out to save me, I will only drag you down. I'll try to use your body as a life raft, 'cause if there's room enough for one, there must be room enough for two. I'll sail the good ship you into the sunset, sipping on savory water till my liver turns blue. Sha-na-na, sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Is broadcast in the evening news. I will be relieved. La, la, I am waving while I drown. Don't bother swimming out to save me, I will only drag you down. I'm waving while I drown. Don't bother swimming out to save me, I will only drag you down. La, 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 singing, hey, hey, alright, yeah, I wrote that one myself. It's astounding the lengths I'll go to convince the whole damn world I don't need anybody's help.